So we're looking at list and status. The discussion is job cost. And I'm looking at a job here. And we have some materials. I guess this one hasn't been purchased yet because it looks like it's just brand new. Now, are we doing purchase orders through the system?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there nothing allocated in there?
It must be a -1 or something associated with this,
Okay.
because the one you opened is complete. We just gotta, yeah, it's complete. I'm waiting on paperwork. Which one is this? Otterbein.
Tell me which one to pick.
Anyone.
Well, we're not finding allocated parts there.
That's kind of weird. I've ordered all jobs to date.
Are they sitting in to be scheduled, or is that the right? Am I looking at the wrong
Which
status?
one are you looking at?
Installations in process.
That's a good question.
I was on your system, right? Yeah, on your system. Okay.
Did you go into those direct supplies?
Go to C. Click on C. Waiting on parts.
Okay, fine. That would certainly be. Okay.
Isn't that weird? Oh, that's
Okay.
why you have notes.
Okay. The notes turned on, and that's hiding it.
Yes,
Thank you
yes,
very much.
yeah.
Okay, fine.
That's fine.
When I
Okay.
looked at notes earlier, I'm like, oh, no wonder. Yeah, you can't see everything.
Okay, just pushed off the screen. So let's go
Yes.
back at this guy here. Here we go.
You're scaring me.
Ah,
Don't
it's-
scare me.
Sorry about
I've ordered everything.
All right. Sorry about it.
It's okay.
There you go.
Mm.
You aware of that checkbox?
No. Yes.
So this checkbox lets
Nice.
you see graphically where you're at.
Excellent.
If we go back to a waiting parts project, right over here,
That's the only thing I was missing. Because I couldn't,
double click on this guy, and that's lets you see on order, back order, and so forth,
wonderful.
right like that. Okay. And then let's just try another one here. There you go. So there you go. So that's this little checkbox here that makes it nicer to see the layout.
Okay.
So on order is, of course, product that's still on order. Back order would be you received a partial receiving, and there'd be a partial quantity not received. So it shows up here as a red. Like,
Will it automatically go into back order, or? is
yeah,
it
when you
something-
receive the purchase order in,
Mhm.
and you do less than the full quantity, it'll put the balance in back order.
Excellent. Good. I was wondering how I update.
Now, who receives them?
I do.
Okay, fine. I mean, you know how to do the partial receive and,
I do.
okay, fine. Yes, ma'am.
Want me to schedule these service calls real quick? I gotta talk to Bobby about it. You
That's
guys wanna
fine.
go ahead and get started, and I'll be in just a few.
So let's look at a job that's complete. Installation. Talk to me about installation that in your mind is complete.
What my ideal is of completion.
Yeah.
All charges have been posted. Labor complete. Now,
Do you have one in mind here that we could use as an example?
let's see here. Actual jobs under service. That's wire.
Page-
Probably we move ours out of completion pretty quickly.
No, they get completed to where they end up.
Well, completed then invoiced.
This
I
is
don't
the
move on.
invoice.
You're thinking service ticket complete goes to invoicing to completed projects, correct?
This is the final.
And this is the final status.
That's
So
where they sent.
which
These-
one would you like to look at?
These, can we scroll down a little
Yes,
bit?
ma'am.
These methods
That's-
look
that-
like small ones.
Because I don't move them to completed.
No, I
Oh,
do.
okay,
After
fine.
they're built.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so let's look at that Elizabeth Place.
Elizabeth
that's a
Place?
fire inspection, is
There
it?
we go. Perfect.
Oh, that's a fire
That
inspection.
was
So that's
all
just
service.
labor.
Yeah.
Inspection.
I didn't touch Lockheed. That's fire.
This right here.
That's a maintenance contract.
Okay.
St. Leonard's is a box sale. Yeah, this is all service and box sales. Let's look at the value. The ESI go
Yeah.
up 6, about 6 to 8. 9 are up
One of
right
these
there.
guys right
There
there.
we go.
Okay. All right. So we have here a a job has 46 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and you've received actual costs of material costs here of 26,000.
Okay.
But I don't see any labor costs being posted against this.
Yeah, I manually enter the labor upon completion of the job.
But where do you
Nothing is-
enter the labor? That's the question.
Right where you have that cursor.
Oh,
Once the job is complete, I type in the actuals from Access.
It just goes in as an outline. If there's more than one technician, there's more than one line, but Chris did all that work.
Correct.
Technician 26.
so I guess the question is, if the salesman quote labor, how are you? I was surprised that you're adding the time here. So where was the original labor on this product? How was the original?
It was entered as an O line by
Okay.
the salesperson.
And if they quoted it X, would you be changing it to Y, a
Yes.
different value?
That's correct. That's where the way
Does
we've
it
been
say
trained.
down below the
It
original
does.
hours?
You can scroll down and it'll give you a recap of how it was originally quoted.
Original labor,
Right, you just-
112.
Right there, the U lines. This
Okay,
is
right
how
there.
We were taught. We knew it was wrong, but so we need you to help us.
Well, it's not ideal, but it's the way we've been.
Well, I guess the question is, did that change the value of the quote?
We fix
We make the
each
quote
job.
match. If we have to reduce the labor price or increase it, rarely, sometimes.
Now, do you bill O lines?
Yes.
Okay. So this was $14,000 was that figure originally, correct?
Correct.
For the labor portion of it.
Correct.
Okay. And page up, you had you billed 46 hours, which was 5,000. So where did you put the balance of?
Miscellaneous.
So you added it up
Two
here.
Yes.
Okay. That's a new one.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Tell us the right way or the correct.
well, that's fine. That's great. I've never seen anybody do it that because that seems like some extra work.
Yes.
I would rather leave the project static, as in not change the project, but I do want you to post the hours in a different place. I want you to post the hours as a cost to the job and not modify the quote.
Okay.
So, the proper way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, you're all right for that?
Oh, yeah.
You're allowed.
We're right for that.
If you're allowed for me to use that terminology,
Yes.
okay. The proper way to have posted the hours against this project is the following. Under first of all, on the setup side of things, under maintain technicians, right here, maintain technicians.
Uh-huh.
You have a setup screen for the technicians.
Mhm.
Okay. You need to revisit this screen
Okay.
and make sure that everybody has a value. Like
Okay.
Craig does not. And does he work on service calls at all?
No.
Never?
No. Not anymore. He's done with all install and service.
But he does do
Engineering.
engineering. Now he does pre-sales engineering.
Correct.
What about post-sales engineering?
Minimal, but he does.
Okay, so pre-sales engineering is count overhead,
Yes.
part overhead to the company. But post-sales engineering would be time that should be accounted for.
Correct. But we're not doing that right now.
And also
CAD.
Dollars.
the drawers back there, okay? I mean, there should be an estimate budget for CAD drawings on the quoting side. And we want to capture that CAD drawing time on the capture of time. So we see whether we're on track with our estimate. So again, even though they're not techs, you should put them in the tech list
Okay.
and give them at the minimum a regular rate, cost rate. Okay. If none of their time is ever overtime, then you only have to fill in this column here. If anybody does have overtime time, after hours, what's your overtime look like? Is that after 8 hours or after 40 hours? Overtime for you guys.
Both.
It's kind of
Whatever,
It's
okay.
typically-
So-
it's typically after 4:30.
What I would recommend is fill out everybody with regular overtime and overtime rates, okay? Because the system will not let you post. It purposely stops you from posting time against the project if there's no rate, okay?
Mhm.
So come back and revisit the screen,
Okay.
okay? Anybody that's not on this, anybody that's no longer a former tax, go ahead and drop them off of this list. It's the same scenario. You just won't be able to filter for them. But
Okay.
if they're
I'm looking, it says add and done. Is it done?
just add and then put your ID in,
Okay.
and then, was there a problem? Okay,
Sorry.
Okay.
How do you remove them? Is
a
it-
minus key right here.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, just
Gotcha.
anybody that you want to drop out, just do that. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Will
Okay.
do.
Now, so for posting the labor, so our project was 90. Was that the one we were just working
I
on?
believe it is. 90871 ESI, yes.
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay, fine.
That's correct.
And I'm just confirming. Okay, so 46 hours. So the problem, you want to think of the editor as the estimate.
Okay.
And then we want to post actual against this project.
Okay.
That way we have the estimate figure, as I showed you on the WIP report, 46 hours will show up there. Now, did it take 46, or was it 25, or was it 80, whatever that is. We want to know what our estimate was without messing it up. And then we want to know what our actual was.
Okay.
So, if we come over here to, and who was the technician we were
Chris
COW.
Wilson.
was there a rate there for him?
Yeah.
Should be.
Let's go look just to be sure. Okay, so Chris, that guy,
Wilson,
Nope,
the next
Wilson, and he has a
There
rate.
you go.
Okay. So under task, job cost, posting.
Okay.
Come over here, and there's a setup technician one, which we've just been to it from the other screen.
Mhm.
There's the one we're going to use is post data entry.
Okay.
That's where we're going to post our time.
Okay.
Now, I should tell you, when mobile is active. We talked about this yesterday. We may not start everybody on the first day, but as you transition to mobile doing, the text can post a time. So this is actually going to be automatic. But to catch up the jobs that are in the past, this is the methodology you're going to use to get the time into the actual cost. Okay.
Understood.
So if we come over here to this guy,
So manual entry.
this is manual entry. You would come down here and you would choose your technician
Okay.
like that. Okay. And then you would put the project number that we're talking about here. And do I have it in memory? I can't get to it.
90871.
I'm going to come a different. I like the billing menu method because then I can bounce back and forth. So has the same. It gets you to the same place. Okay. But now I can still go back to here and do edit project, and that's the one we want. Like so. Copy. Exit. So we choose our technician like so.
Mhm.
That guy. Yes.
Yes.
Come over here to this guy. paste.
Mhm.
If there's a suffix, you would put it in here,
Okay, understood.
and then you put your hours like so.
Okay.
Now, this would be straight out. I mean, you could do 46 hours, or you could put the daily 6 hours. You know, today they work 6, last time they worked 12, whatever that is. You can put the daily event here
Okay.
and give it the date for the activity. Okay.
Excellent.
And then I added this last night so the TPS mobile could have something. And you can add to this list. There's a setup screen on the list tab to add to this list. But I'll do install for purposes of demonstration. And then if there's any notes that they have given you via time card or other oddities that they want to make mention of, there's a field for that. Okay. And then here is the rate field. So this is where regular rate, first overtime 1, overtime 2 come in place. Okay. And I'll just do that like so. And then you move on to the next project. Next project, hours, date, what they did, rate, etc. And you fill up this, and you can see you can get a whole week out of this. You know, at the end of the day, if you were doing, you know, daily postings, you could get a week. And I've got people that, you know, do 2-hour service call and back to a 4-hour job, and then back to a service call. They're bouncing back and forth.
Right.
So that's what this is doing for you.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, you come over here to this guy, you hit post, click, and now it posted the time to that project. And now it'll show up in the actual cost field. Okay? So, and then you move on to Technician 2, Technician 3, Tech 4, and just keep running it through the game. So this is actually very, very fast screen to work with and very efficient.
So, like you just said, let's say we're entering today's work for all technicians. We would remain on the same screen and could enter everything they did today.
Exactly correct. So work on, you know, Technician 1, he worked on these jobs.
Yeah.
Technician 2, he worked on these jobs. Technician
Sweet.
3, he worked on this job.
Perfect. Got
Okay.
it.
Now, so you'll notice if I come in from task, job cost, entry, you can't get back to the editor here. Okay? It's in modal mode, one screen in front of the other.
Yes.
But if you come from billing menu, job cost posting, now this screen can sit off to the side and you can still move around and do things, you know, look at projects and stuff like that.
Excellent.
So there's little listen status is visible to you, and that if you can't find a project number, those kind of things, it becomes an easier screen. Okay?
Got it.
Now, even there is a time when you know technicians make mistakes.
Yes.
Okay, everybody makes mistakes, but they make mistakes too. So once in a while, you may find in your job cost reporting that maybe, for instance, there's a feature in TPS Mobile called Quick Post, and they can pick a project and post their time to it without going through the whole process of a work order, signature, this. It may be I just spent 4 hours on the job and that's, you know, I post it. And you find out they posted it to the wrong job.
Okay.
Okay. So this screen can be used for crediting too. So if you have the scenario where, you know, Wilson posted against one project, you find out it's the wrong project, you can do a negative quantity here,
Okay.
credit that time off the first project, and then put a positive number on the next one and post it to the other project.
Got it.
So this works for that as well. Okay? Now, with that said, so now think about what just happened. We left the quote alone.
Mhm.
The quote was 120 hours, and we estimated 120 hours. But in fact, it only took us 46. So we didn't taint then the original budget time. So now for us, it's not going to be, because it's already been tainted or modified, what do you want to call it. Our WIP report is going to show the 46 estimated and the 46 actual. But the fact, if it hadn't been changed, it had said 128 estimated, actual 46. So that's the thing that's the important piece of information is, did we come under budget
Yeah,
or over budget? And that's will allow you then to leave the estimate alone, bill it alone, and look at the WIP report and still see where you're at. Okay? So if we come down here specifically for that project that we just did, come over here to this guy, hit drop in here and hit the WIP report. Did you see what I just did? Did that work for you, or was that too fast? Sorry, babe. I'll come back and revisit it. But this is what you're looking for. You're looking for the original estimate, and that would have been 122, 128, and 46 would have shown here. So then we had, an estimated cost was this, and our actual cost was this. And you would have seen the estimated cost was much higher because 128 times 45 hours attack is X hours, and this would have come in much better.
Yeah.
Okay? So now it's still interesting because we're still under budget and we're done, right?
So that's not just labor, right?
That's exactly right. So let's look at the other report. So just so I went to, I'm going to clear screen. Okay. To run a WIP report on a single project was I picked project number. I put the project number in the search info field. I went down here to value, special, and then WIP. And that got us the simple WIP report. Okay?
Yep.
To get us the full screen this guy. To get us the other WIP report, you come down here to Crystal and choose this WIP 2, or cost breakout 2 report. Okay? And now we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to run the detail or the breakout version of it. Okay, and you see now, what am I missing here? There's a suffix project, and then there's the original project. Okay, isn't that interesting how that showed up to you?
Yes, nice.
Okay,
I like it.
So there's another benefit to keep the suffixing of the project and then its change order associated with this job, because now you can see the total picture of what's going on with this project.
Yes.
Okay, and then these numbers down here are relative to the combination of all those projects. If you get a whole bunch of change orders on a project, the bottom section becomes really important because you see the aggregate of everything put together. Okay.
So something was removed.
Looks like it, because we had a
Yes.
credit,
A
some
credit
sort of
of
credit, something here.
Equipment. That's the one with the credit of equipment. We didn't give them any labor credit.
And there you go. So you credited them some costs, so that reduced the cost of the project. And then from there, that would bring down the total profitability of this job would be, where's that at here? Gross profit is still pretty significant. Thank you very much. Okay?
Yeah.
So on our project we were just working at,
Yes.
there would have been 128,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And then this would have been 46. Okay. And then here would have been, 128 times 45 or something, so that would have been like, whatever that number is.
Right.
And then there's what it actually cost us on the labor side, okay? And on the material side, we estimated this, and we actually came in at that. So this job, this is a great job. I mean, we did really good. Thank you very much.
Well, so my question is, let's get back to the estimating versus when it's time to invoice. Do you still recommend we enter as O lines during estimating?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, leave them alone.
Okay, so do I still create the L line?
No.
And leave it alone.
Leave it
Just
alone.
as O lines.
All that goes away.
Okay.
This
So
is,
we bill it out the 112 hours?
yeah,
That was
so
estimated?
that was it.
But the
It's
cost will be
O-line.
Correct.
The O-line, and unless there's a reason to change the visual appearance of the quote,
Gotcha.
then bill it out. I mean, that's it. Don't mess with the prices. I mean, if you have all that diddling you had to do to get the price on the hardware side up to the,
Yeah, it's a lot
so
of
you're,
work.
you all that, forget that,
Thank you, Jesus.
Ah!
I'm so
Okay.
serious. Yes. I'm not
yeah.
calling you Jesus, Tom.
That thing, huh?
But thank you too. Yeah, this will save me a lot of time where I can turn.
Yeah, no, leave the project alone. The little changes you have to make, the better.
Hallelujah. He did.
And the customer's happy. If the customer's happy with the quote, the customer should be happy with the invoice.
That's
Okay.
right.
So,
There's Mr. Wilson.
Just so you guys know, Chris Dry's leaving in 20 minutes, so get phones. Hopefully they won't be as crazy as yesterday.
so
Okay, so here's the question.
go.
The guys turn in the timesheet.
Yeah.
Katie puts it in Access.
Okay.
There's different codes. 10 is the direct labor, which is most of the work on the project, service and
Mm-hmm.
installs. And then there are other codes. There's paperwork, when they're in here doing their stuff that's not billable to the customer. There's a code for customer service, which
20.
is typically when someone is an assistant that's not really billable.
They're just
But there's a
helping.
Sure.
project number with that.
Mm-hmm.
So what we need to keep doing that through Access, and then
What you tell me. I don't know what you're doing with the access
is there a way
system.
to get the non-job time in?
Yes. The way to get the non. Thank you. The way to get the non.
Teamwork here.
is create project numbers for those non-job related projects. So what are they about? What are the non-jobs?
I missed the question.
Non-billable time.
I'm talking about her putting the timesheets into Access,
Okay.
and if there's a way to just eliminate that and put it
Sounds
directly
like it
into
is.
projects,
Yeah.
but we have the time that's not on jobs.
So
We
what
have
is
to
the
account
what
for
is that time? Give me an example of that time.
Maybe what time do you enter into projects that is non-service or non-install related?
When it comes to customer service.
Customer service or paperwork.
2 technicians can be out there, but we might only bill.
Ah,
Like, if say we
okay.
need to be on a lift or something, then, we need to have one that's there for safety, and so he's not really, charging that customer for that, but he's there just in case.
Okay.
So that would
So
be like a code
It's
20.
really hitting overhead, but it's being coded as warranty per se.
Yeah, but I tell you, I would disagree with that. I mean, there's certainly, for me, I'll let.
Yeah, she's right here. She's on her way. She got an example.
Finds that these are the codes down here at the bottom.
That's a good point because
So
any kind of coding.
I guess the question is this. If, and I don't want to, you guys are probably the wrong person to talk to, but I'll say it anyways. Okay. Okay.
We can talk to the right person.
We can talk to the right person. Okay.
That's right.
If there's a person on a job for safety, that should be estimated. If you
Let's use training then.
well, training is another one. Okay, but I do want to hit that point.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, I mean, if they need 2 people.
if they need 2 people, that is a
Billable.
cost to the job.
Yeah.
Okay, safety or otherwise. If there's a helper, he's getting paid less theoretically, and he needs to be helping that guy. I mean, safety is one thing. Just the ease of having him coming up and down the ladder. Well, ladders is easy, but if it's on a lift and somebody's handing a product to the guy, that should have been part of the estimate. So that's not a non-billable event. That's a job-related cost.
Okay.
For whatever reason, if he's on the site, he should be billed against the job.
I agree.
Okay? Period. And that will either make or break an estimate.
Yeah.
But it took me 2 guys. One was handing up stuff on a, if he's wasting time, that's another story. But he was there and it had to be there. That's billable time. That's chargeable time to a job. Okay? Now, non-billable time
Mhm.
would be site surveys.
Yep.
I went out with the sales guy to look over the job. Climbed up the ladder, did that stuff. That's pre-sales cost. Technician gets paid. So you could set up a job called survey. Literally create a project called survey.
Okay.
And new project, it doesn't matter which one because you're going to post against here. Turn auto off and literally enter survey.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
travel, shop, training,
Oh, my.
paperwork, all the projects that
And even personal time and
personal,
vacation, that
whatever,
kind of
whatever
stuff.
you want, vacation, whatever. The objective believe it or not, is to get a 40-hour week out of TPS, out of project system. And then you can use that for whatever payroll purposes you're doing. Now, how are you doing payroll today?
Well, I print Katie puts it into Access. I print the Access report and, verify it against the hours.
Okay.
And I pay off of that Access report.
So yeah, so this is
Then Raquel pulls the hours for the jobs.
Yeah.
And puts them into the job. So that's what I said. It seems like we're doing extra work.
Yeah, so yes, I mean, I've got my guy, I'll show you where the report is. My guys, other customers, they use my payroll report or my job cost item report by technician. That's it, all in. So it's a change in the way the technicians have to think about things. They have to start thinking about time, billable time to something.
Excellent.
Billable time to a job, or it's office time for whatever the things we just talked about. Because they can post time via a feature called Quick Post to anything. And in fact, there's a drop-down list for that anything. Over here, maintain Quick Post list, and literally we can set up a list of all those quick projects, shop, training, office time, paperwork time, all those guys can be in this list, and I put 1.5 hours on that thing. So at the end of the week, they have a 40-hour week.
Without her.
Without me entering.
Without anything.
Without me entering, without you
It is-
entering.
They do it themselves. They're responsible for their own time. But that's
Like I
awesome.
said, you were out of the room. Maybe you weren't out of the room.
She was.
If they
I
make a
was.
mistake, okay, you make a mistake. If they make a mistake, there's a way for them. You can't credit. Okay.
I'll show you. It is a credit, but you still have to.
I'm thinking, can they credit? I never thought about that. That's a question. Okay, but the point is, you have a way to credit it if they made a mistake
Okay.
through
I'll show you.
the screen that we were on. Okay. So, anyways, yes, this is how you would set the projects up, and then you're going to come over here to maintain Quick Post here. Okay.
Yes.
And then you can add, for example, is shop a valid one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So I would put shop right here and then hit post. And there's my shop one. And then I put another one, plus training, right? TRAING.
And don't forget site survey.
And site survey and plus and survey, SURVEY, and so forth. You got it?
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then you come over here to this guy and complete those off. So let's do shop for purposes demonstration.
Yes.
Come over, replicate. We're going to use our customer cop for purposes
Yes.
of keeping it all in one place. This guy here, yes?
Yes.
Double click. We don't care. We don't care. And then we're going to put this into,
Project status, which we're going to use.
I would put it needs to be as an act. You don't have a hold one on the project's on hold.
So we
Scheduled.
can do briefs, cop.
And what do you use the productivity report for? Will this have any effect on that?
I mean, it'll still be, we'll just pull the information out of here. We're going to have the same information. It just won't be in Access. It'll be in projects.
Yeah.
So,
No more.
so we won't have to, I mean, we're doing everything twice, basically.
We are. Like Chuck with RMAs and stuff.
Yeah. All
Yes.
parts in. You don't have a status on hold, which I would have put, but you don't have one. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you could use jobs to be scheduled, and eventually it'll end up at the bottom of the list, so it doesn't really matter. You with me? Unless you create a new status called projects on hold, and I'll
Will
put
it allow us to?
hold for
'cause this is a new
posting.
project, so we got to use 4 automatically, don't we?
Let's see what it says. Okay, so you're right. It has to be in 4, 100%, which is quotes is proposal and process. And then it's going to require your these are classes, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so no, these aren't the classes. These are the type customer. Retail. These are type cust, and then this guy is. There's your classes there. Okay, fine. Okay. And good. And then it does it and puts it in there. Okay. Yeah. So that's how you put shop in. You with me?
Yes.
Okay, so maintain, go through the episode, set up those base projects. Okay.
Post
So
job cost.
again, we came over here to this guy.
Mhm.
We went to post time to a project, post labor hours to a project. We choose our technician, enter the job number, suffix if there is one, hours, date, type of work, notes if there are any, and then rate. Okay? And then you go on to the next project.
On the screen is.
We'll talk about this more.
Okay?
We won't be ready for this on Monday.
I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not sure if I'm ready.
Oh, it's sweet.
Now, if you make a mistake on this screen in the project number, it'll tell you over here. I.e., when we did that project number, like so, when I moved off record into that field, notice it verified the project number and the title for you. So that's the first clue. Okay. The next clue is if you hit the post and it is an invalid, it'll say not posted here, and then it'll tell you you missed the project, you missed it somehow. So it doesn't let you just post to the wind. It's going to require it to be a valid project number. Okay. So back on track to what we were talking about was job cost. So now we saw on the WIP report we had the estimated hours and the actual hours. Okay, so that's cost number one, cost type 1. Now cost type 2 are the material costs, and they're automatic. If you allocate a product from stock, yes, or you order and receive the materials through a purchase order, your material costs will hit the job.
Correct.
And so we saw that dutifully here when we did that individual project number here, value, special, and a WIP, like so. Actually, I should have done the breakout one. I do the breakout one.
Who's gonna love the book report, Kim?
Yeah. Well, I can see this making a lot of things easier.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we saw down here we had an estimated cost and we had an actual cost. Now, to know more about what the details of this are, we actually have to print out a detailed job cost report. Okay, so that is accomplished. Have you printed those before or not? Probably not.
I
Okay,
think I have from the job, right?
from the job.
Yeah.
So if we go into the project like this, okay, and we come down here to print, and we click job cost detail, this will give you the jot and tittle of exactly what happened on that job. And there's where you start seeing now your actual labor starts showing up here. And then here is all your material costs that came in on your purchase orders. And who did the receiving, and the date that it was received, and the purchase order. So these are your purchase orders. Now you'll notice this one came from stock. Well, that was actually a credit. So it was a credit back to stock. Okay. And then if we move on to the next page, this is where we see the short and sweet of it, or not so good sweet sometimes. This would have been 128, and then this would have shown 46. This would be the estimated side of it, and this is your actual gross profit on this project. Now we know that there was a change order that doesn't reflect on this one here. Then here is your material cost, P lines, right there, straight across P lines, and there is your labor, and there's your labor. So we estimated, well, this would have been much higher if we had not just messed with the project, and there would have been our actual cost. I mean, that still would have been our actual cost, and there would have been our estimated cost, but it actually would have been much higher because that number would have been $5,000 higher, whatever that was. Okay, so again, this was a great project. You know, even with the credit we gave back to the customer, this was a great project.
Yes.
Wish they all were like that, right?
Yes.
A few more like that.
Yeah, we need a few more like that. Now, you can run this report anytime along the way. If you have outstanding purchase orders, they would show up as commitments, not received yet. So there's a new column that shows up here,
Oh, sweet.
columns that are still, and that would have then an anticipated cost or gross profit on the project later on when they come in.
Excellent.
Okay?
So estimated.
Estimated
Cost.
GP,
Yeah.
there.
Got it.
So that was coming over here to the project and printing the job cost report.
Yes.
Okay. I'm happy to see you're using the set fixed price. That locks in the price, the value of the job. So if anybody makes an adjustment on the project, you know something's changed from the thing. Now, that's cost number 2.
Okay.
Labor was 1, material costs are 2. Actually, it's the other way around. Material costs are automatic, and then labor costs would be your postings against by time. Okay, so those 2 costs. Now, the next cost, there are 3 more costs that I want to talk about related to jobs. And they are petty cash costs, 1. Petty costs would be, I took the guys to lunch, we used a credit card, but we need that cost to be attributed to a project. I went to Home Depot and I bought something. I went to, I had to go out of town, I had to travel overnight,
Yes.
and I used my credit card, and I need to post those times to the job. So there's cash, and credit card purchases that don't get purchased or accommodated any other way into the project. Okay, and here's how we accommodate those. Now I'm going to use my local system because I don't want to mess up another job. So I'm just going to use my local system for demonstration purposes. And I'm going to pick a project in my work to-do list. And I'll pick one of these jobs right here. Let's see here. Okay. Page down. Okay. So here's an example of a job that has materials on order. Okay, so I'll bring the screen so you can see it better here. Some of the product has been invoiced already. Okay. There's an item where there's a back order
Okay.
on that item there. Okay. And then there's some product that are still on order. This isn't a real job. This is my job.
This is yours, I
Yeah.
know, and I'm thinking, you've invoiced a couple of lines here and a couple of lines there.
Yes. Project will let you bill progress billing. We're going to talk about progress billing after we talk about job costs. That's right after this.
I
Yeah.
know you can do progress, but I was taught to move it all up into the top section. And I knew it was completely wrong to be modifying this because it's an estimate. It's what the customer has.
Correct.
And once it become a job, I'm moving things left and right and high and low. And I didn't like it, but that's what I was trained.
Yeah. No, please.
Wow,
Minimal
I don't
activity
think
is possible.
Yes. They didn't. So I need to learn how you did that progress.
I'm going to come back and we'll visit that for you.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Right. I'm learning so much. Okay, sorry.
On
Tony.
my training video, for my exercise video at night, the guy says, after we're going through these exercises and it's getting very complicated and people are falling behind, not the demonstrators, but us that are trying to do this. Oh my gosh! Everybody's going crazy here. Anyways, so we have a job here. Our project number is 9355, and this is a midstream job. It's not finished. It's just along the way we had some costs hit the project.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
So the one of the next posting functionalities would be the miscellaneous cost we talked about, and that would be coming over here to job cost posting. And then one of the options is right here, post additional cost or corrections to a project. And then it's prompting us for the project number. Okay. We hit start. And it brings up this miscellaneous posting screen with extras. And there's a lot of extras that have been declared. And if it's freight, you know, if it was just some straight freight charge, maybe we had a overnight freight charge and they sent us a bill, just not against the purchase order, but for whatever reason there was a freight charge. If there was some bonds or permits, whatever, this list is your list, and you can make this list up to be whatever you want. And there is the ability for the salesman to estimate with this functionality. Rarely do they do it, but it helps us capture costs. Yes?
Yes.
So, and one of these is here, miscellaneous. Okay?
Got it.
Now, this is where we can come over to this guy and we can say, you know, lunch for the guys. You know, lunch for the techs because we worked a, you know, 12-hour day, whatever that is, or dinner for the techs, whatever that is. And we put the amount here and we say $55, whatever that figure is. Okay. We took care of the actual payment of that $55 via credit card and we turned that in as a receipt.
Correct.
But this is the methodology for capturing the cost against the project.
It's being heard.
Okay?
Yes.
Do you know if Chris Wilson's the one who got entrepreneur center for that?
I don't know.
This is the stuff that can't be accommodated through the AP module. These are the charges that came around from via credit card versus or cash. It could be the cash. A guy technician went out to a Home Depot and bought a supply, and he brought you a receipt, and that still has to go against.
But we do pay that through payables. Either we pay the credit card bill or we pay the vendor directly, Gray Bar and Becker Electric and some of these places that they stop at.
Exactly.
If
So
it's a freight
essentially it
bill,
all
like
ties back to the
UPS.
payables.
I mean, if we had to
Well,
ship
I'll show you
something-
that next time. You know, if you can accommodate it through, that's fine. Then you don't have to do this. But I've got people that use this module. too.
Cash, possibly, but
Yeah.
those are very rare.
Yeah.
Parking, usually a couple quarters or something.
Right.
Yeah, right.
We don't pay out very much cash.
Well,
I
they're
got you.
using their credit cards at the things now,
The
occasionally.
meters.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Everything's on the
Upgrading
company
them
credit
all.
card
That's
now.
kind of crazy, but there it is. Anyways, now there is one here. You know, you got the broken out ones, and that's fine. But there is one miscellaneous, and we suggest you keep that one because then you can just
Yes.
enter some whatever it is against the job, and that would then record that $55. I'd actually done this in some other example, and it just summed it to this field. Okay,
Yes.
but that's now broken out on our project. We would see that. Okay, so that's three. That's third posting type.
Yes.
The last
Where are these project extras? Are they in the?
right here, maintain extras list, right there. Okay.
Yep.
Now you can only have 20 of these. So if you know you've got that list. I don't remember what yours would look like if we were to drop in your system real quick here and drop in here.
Never seen it.
Maintain
That looks like
extras list.
Yes. It probably does become a beeline after the fact. I was going to ask him to go
Of course, I
back
messed
so
up
we
on the
could see it.
password.
Mm-hmm. So basically, there's a back door to entering all.
Yeah,
calls.
somebody's been here a little bit, but you can have. And again,
A bucket truck.
let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
17. And I see there's a type. So I guess when you create them, it asks you to type or something?
I'll tell you what it is.
What line I'm
2,
talking
3,
about
4,
your
5, 6,
project
7,
is.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
The
13,
bucket
14,
truck.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
No, labor.
20.
Extra, 20.
Go.
Extra, miscellaneous, MISC
Ah, thank you.
Okay. And then you can come back and add these to the list. Okay.
Okay.
So someone's here. Now, the type has to do with a taxable event or not.
Okay.
Tax like labor. The choices are tax like labor, cost, or freight. If it doesn't matter to you, then you can make them all Fs. But if one is taxable versus another one non-taxable, if the guys were to quote this, then it would matter on the tax side. Okay, and the choices would be, purposes of demonstration would be
Yes.
labor, parts, and freight. Those are your two choices. Those are your three choices.
So just like typing the O line, okay.
Exactly correct. Okay, and then you leave this one for the catch-all, and you're welcome to use this whatever that. There you go. Now, so that's the miscellaneous costing not attached to the AP module. Okay. Now, the miscellaneous POGs attached to the AP module looks like this. So we're going to go back into our project for a moment,
Thank you.
and we're going to go look at the purchase order. So our purchase order here is 5,300. Yes.
Yes.
Now you'll notice we have here another purchase order, 5301. Okay.
Correct.
These have not been received. Yes.
Correct.
Okay. So, and we said earlier, the material costs hit the job when the materials are received. Okay? Now, I state that again because if the costs attributed to a project from a purchase order are what's in the purchase order itself. Okay. If you get a change in price
Mm-hmm.
by the vendor
Mm-hmm.
prior to receiving the purchase order
All the time. Yes.
you go into the purchase order and change the costs that are coming in.
Correct.
And now, when the product is received, the new cost hit the job.
Oh, I don't have to go in and manually update it.
No.
Well, but you don't see the invoice.
No, prior to.
You
the
get an
product being
acknowledgement.
received. So when I get the acknowledgement, I see that the cost has changed. So I updated in 3 different places.
You
So-
just put it into the purchase order,
Okay.
the new cost. Now,
So when I receive it,
I caution you just to be thorough about this.
yes.
The change in price, was that because we purchased at the wrong price, which could be, that's fine.
Yep.
Or they're not going to honor a discount,
Mhm.
which is darn.
Right.
Or
Price
they give us the wrong price because if maybe the estimators were given a price and they didn't honor it. So the pushback would be, why not?
Yeah.
You with me?
Oh yeah, I
That's-
research it all the time.
Okay, fine. That's fine.
Find out
That was the only thing. But if in fact it is a real right price coming from them, the new price is this, or the price will be this, go into the purchase order and adjust it prior to it coming in.
Wow.
Okay. But then you also have the scenario, you don't find out the price has changed until you get the bill.
That happens all the
That
time.
happens all.
And that happens all the time too.
Because
So
our
I'm
price lists haven't been updated in the system.
yeah, so
And
I'm
that's
giving you
unfortunate.
all the scenarios here. I'm trying to
Yeah.
accommodate. So the point is the system can handle all these scenarios.
Okay.
If you get the acknowledgement with the new price, you can change it then.
Yeah.
Or through the accounts payable module, you can change it then. It doesn't
even
matter.
if she's already received it.
Exactly. Exactly my point. If you have received the product in, it hit the job at the cost originally on the PO.
Mm-hmm.
But then through the accounts payable interface, you can change the cost in the purchase order.
Mm-hmm.
It will automatically credit or debit the projects, plural,
That's what I'm.
that it is related to.
Nice.
And you will see a cost correction up or down in the project in the job cost detail report reflecting that change,
But not on this screen.
but not on this screen here. We
Got
leave it alone.
happens behind the scenes.
This is still, again, the estimate, unmessed with,
Gotcha.
and then the actual costs reflect as life happened.
Wow.
Okay.
So the project won't reflect the actual cost.
So you're not modifying this.
It will behind the scenes accounts payable. in the
It'll just
reports.
deduct it from the.
This will be reflected here. These costs will be reflective. And see, this is where I've got 460 hours posted against this job.
Wow.
This is my true material cost versus my estimated material cost right over there. So this is all reflective. Okay?
Excellent.
Now, let's look at purchase order.
Before you go any further,
Okay.
my question is, should I go in, and I know this is a whole nother training aspect, but should I go in to inventory and update that cost as well?
You're actually going to be prompted. We will set the system up to prompt you
Okay.
to say yes, update inventory, or
Oh,
not
gosh.
update inventory.
It's a special
Excellent.
price.
Okay?
Yes.
So you will have the privilege, you and
I
you,
need that.
whoever runs the AP module, I'm not picking on any of you guys.
Yeah.
We don't give it to the sales guys.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, no, no. Not at all.
Okay?
We're all in agreement on that.
They're gonna skyrocket it way up.
So you guys will have the privilege to adjust the purchase order, which will then it'll prompt you, do you want to update inventory or not?
Excellent.
And then you'll say yes. So now if it's the right going forward price, you can make that correction right away.
And next question, will you show us where the miscellaneous hit this job where we went out to lunch? Will we
Oh,
see it at all?
Yeah. So when we went out to lunch, if we come here to the job
Job
cost
cost.
detail report,
Okay.
that will be reflective right here. Next page, sorry. Okay. And there's there's been several. There's that text went out to lunch right there, $55. This was this was that freight. This was that $500 freight fee that got apportioned out based on the breakout of the purchase order. But that's your $55 right there.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you. So I can.
Now, so let's go look at. I want to look at purchase order 5500 for a moment. Now there is a. I can actually look through here. So this has had an invoice applied to it. That's the invoice number from the customer. This one's already been used, and then there was the freight
From the
charge.
vendor, you mean?
Yeah, from the vendor. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, this is the AP
Sorry,
module
so
shows you your AP entries against this project,
Excellent.
and this showed me that this has been an invoice. That invoice number captured against that purchase order. So that I can't use that one. That's already been taken care of.
Okay.
Maybe not. We'll have to see. Let's see. Well, we can actually go look at that. Let's look anyways. What I'm looking for is if we go to accounts payable module, come over here to this guy. So AP interface.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this case, we come down here to create voucher. And then this is where we can enter an invoice against a single purchase order. Okay? So the normal, here's an invoice. And in there you'll put the PO number, in this case 5300. That's our PO number.
Yes.
And then this is the vendor's invoice number.
Mhm.
Yes. And the amount that they have on the invoice.
Yes.
Okay? And we do that because it lets you do a checks on balance. The invoice said this, and there's a distribution functionality. My materials and the freight, and it should add up to be the total. So this is your verification that you've got a good valid. Now, I'm going to put no total here and not check because I don't know what the amount, I'm guessing here right now what this is going to be because I don't have a real invoice in front of me. Now, you'll notice, here we go. You'll notice in this case, it shows you that they've been received. So this I can't pay any more than I've received. So I can't use this as a demonstration until I receive these product in. So let's receive these in. I'm gonna actually do the different one. I'm gonna do the purchase order. I'm gonna do the 5300. So let's receive this purchase order in.
Mm-hmm.
Come over here to receive PO. 5301. would be the next purchase order in the project.
Mhm.
And here's your normal receive screen, yes?
Correct.
And then receive, 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 and partial, right?
Correct.
And then 10 of those or 25 came in, and then receive. Yes, you've been all this stuff here, right? You've been here, okay. And then we process line by line, and the system goes ahead and allocates it. Now this is another module you're not
I was about to
using.
say, I've never seen
Yeah,
this.
we're just going to skip this guy.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Now, and it dutifully received out the product out to the customer, to the jobs, and it notified the salesman. Yes?
Correct.
And you're aware of all this?
Yes.
Okay, good.
This is your report.
Are you-
I print out.
Okay, good.
I don't get these.
You don't get those, but exactly correct.
Nicole gets them.
And then, so the salesman will get this message there saying, there's your receive of that guy, and then there's your back order of that part that we
Excellent.
partial shipped. So that's what the guys see. And if they pop over here into this guy, actually we have it open at the bottom here, like here, and we hit retotal, that'll now reflect
25 on back.
those came in the back order of 25. Okay?
Got it.
So, boom, now we have the invoice that hit for those product we just received. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we want to enter that invoice in Project System, which will then go to QuickBooks. Okay? So we come over here to Task, Accounts Payable Interface. We go to Create Voucher, and we're entering an invoice against a single purchase order. We put our PO number in, 5301, which is on the invoice, and we put the invoice number from the vendor, like so, and then we would enter the amount of the invoice. Okay. I don't know what that is going to be,
Including the freight.
including the freight, all in, the bottom line amount.
Okay.
And then but I'm not going to know that because I don't know what it is because I'm just
Right.
guessing at this thing. So you'll use check total and enter the amount. That's what you'll be using. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to not check total because I don't know what the amount is, because I don't know what it is. Okay, so we come over here to this guy, and here is now the fact that it shows you that these have been received. Okay, so now your choices are several things. There's the F6 key is now set up for payment purposes, and when I press the F6 key, and that's literally the F6, I use the mouse, but it also the F6 works here. Okay. And now it gives you options. One, you can pay a single line, and in this case, you're on the first line, it's going to pay 2. Okay? You can pay a single line with a prompt, i.e., if the quantities on the invoice don't match the quantities on the project because maybe they shipped a partial and the invoice is a partial invoice, because of the quantities they shipped, you're going to want to pay the quantities on the invoice. You with me what I'm saying? Okay, this stuff. And then there's also pay all items received. So if these items received match your invoice, you can just say pay them all with one shot. You with me? Okay. So if I say F6 like so, continue, you'll notice it now paid, marked for payment, those guys. And so F6, 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 F6. You got there, yes?
Mhm.
Now, this is the screen where you would make a cost change. Okay? So the product has been received, but it doesn't add up because, one, you haven't put the freight amount in, but that figure there is how much it is, and that still doesn't add up either, because that figure there is off. Okay, so now you can drop into this field and make whatever the correction is. Okay, so this is, let's say it's 550 even. Okay, so that means it's going to be an $18 credit, yes?
Yep.
Okay, $18 credit times 1.
Okay.
Okay, so if I do 550, I said, right? Like so. Now, I'm not getting the prompt because I've got my system set up to not be a prompt. Okay, now let's see if it reflected in inventory. See, it didn't prompt me to prompt. In your case, I'll set this up so it does prompt you to update inventory. And then that 50/50 would have been the new price set here as that figure there. Yes?
Yes.
So I
You
would
good?
always want to do that then.
No, that's the only thing. If it's a special price, she wouldn't know. So she wouldn't want to.
If she doesn't know, then she doesn't say yes.
Mhm.
That's the bottom line. If you know this is right, because you're purchasing, you'll know.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
mark on the PO, fixed price. Yeah, I mark on my notes when I get acknowledgement though. So when I don't get an acknowledgement that the cost changed,
So it doesn't help us at all.
it won't help me. Yeah.
So
So
We order
don't
random stuff
update it
sometimes.
if you don't know. But if you have a PO in front of you and I wrote updated cost, which I do now.
But then in that case, it would be updated already, right? You would have already done
You're right.
Well, are you reprinting the PO then?
I do. I usually
So-
reprint it or just
Oh, right,
strike
right.
it out
So
and
then
say
it's
new
gonna
cost.
match.
So it will match majority of the time if I get an acknowledgement. But when I don't get an acknowledgement, you just receive it based on there and don't update in the system.
that. So we don't need that prompt, I'll just update the job costs and like we deal with inventory.
Okay.
So you correct it in the purchase order just because you have to,
Yeah.
and then whether you say yes or no to update an inventory is at your discretion.
Is that your discretion?
Fair enough?
Perfect.
Now, when you finish over here, when you leave, okay, it'll prompt you, do you want to continue to pay voucher? Yes, okay. And
Can
it,
you enter the freight down at the bottom?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
well, I'm right here's where you enter the freight.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
So
And wait a minute, you clicked on retotal. Will she have to retotal?
no,
every
it does it
time?
automatically. I just did it for because the numbers weren't adding up, but I did it. It does it automatically. So
All right, good.
this is the last screen, and this is the pay voucher screen. Now, the first time you come to this screen, there will be no GLs selected for you. Okay, so you have to select. Normally, you'll have to select accounts payable on the AP side. Okay, and then you'll have to select either cost of goods, and you said you go to inventory, correct? So in your list will be inventory, and sure enough, there is my inventory asset. So you'll be choosing these two right here. Now this is speaking of a materials invoice, okay? So you'll be choosing the accounts payable one, and you'll be choosing the inventory one. Then you're going to choose your terms for that's on the invoice. There's a setup screen for this, so you can match the QuickBooks terms inside project system terms. Okay. And then there was the invoice number from the vendor, which came from the first screen to this screen. Okay. And then if you had checked a check sum, there'd be a total down here that would be not matching because we haven't entered the freight amount in. That thing like that. Okay, so there's also a way to get around it by unchecking that no check, but it's already been set up because of the first screen. It's not checking on this side. But if you hadn't this here and you had an amount that was out of balance, it would tell you out of balance is the point of all this. Okay. Now, here's where you enter the freight amount. Okay. And then you would choose your freight GL. Now, some people put it to cost of goods. Some people put it to freight received. This is at your discretion, and I don't care. Okay. It's your world. I don't have an opinion either way. It's all over the map from my own customer side. So in this case, I set one up as a freight GL, and I'm going to use that guy. Fair enough?
Same thing for tax.
And the same thing for taxes. Set this up. We'll set a GL code up. Taxes. There could be some people put, again, the cost of goods. Some people put it taxes paid, incoming taxes paid, or material taxes paid. You would enter that amount right there, whatever that is. Okay? And I don't care. So, and the system doesn't care. That's more important than me. When you check this checkbox, it remembers these settings for this vendor.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the next time you come back to Edwards or Notifier or
PSA.
PSA or Siemens, all these things will be self-learned and remembered for you going forward. Okay?
Check that edit box.
The little
Check
checkbox
mark.
here, save, save,
Checkbox there.
and it remembers those settings for you for this vendor. Okay? And then when you're finished with this particular screen, you just go ahead and post. Okay, click. And the screen cleans itself up. Now, it hasn't gone to QuickBooks yet because we have to do the export to send it to QuickBooks. But it's staged for QuickBooks, and it has been posted to Project. That's number 4. Okay?
What was number
4. 4.
I have 3 for petty cash. What's 4?
AP invoice against the purchase order.
Okay.
And the last one is AP, a miscellaneous invoice that comes from a vendor. The classic is a lift rental, a lift
Yes.
rental. It was estimated, but now it wasn't purchased,
Mm-hmm.
but we do get the invoice coming in from the vendor. In my case, it's going to be United Rental. Okay, that's my vendor for rental. So I would come down here. So we used this one before. This is the one we used for the AP version, for the purchase order version. You come here, and now you enter the project number this is going to be posted against. And our project number is 53, that guy right there, 9355. Copy. So now we go over here to Task, AP Interface, Create Voucher, and then this guy right here, miscellaneous costs against the job. Enter your project number. Okay. Enter the amount. Now this one we know the amount because it's going to be, you know, $550 or $550 for a lift for a day, right? That thing. Okay. We also know their invoice number because that's going to be sitting right there. That's on our invoice. Yes.
Yes.
So we now hit Open Project. It now brings us to our vendor list, and this is where you'll have United Rental. You'll have, you know, all your regular vendors. So Edwards as a vendor is sitting right there. There's our vendor, and there's also United Rental here, and there's or Ultimate Support rather. You with me?
So the vendors that she's entering doing purchase orders for are going to be in.
Exactly correct.
We have to add.
You might have
the
to add
others.
some non-material vendors. Now, non-material vendors would include material rental supply like this guy, Home Depot,
Lowe's.
Those
Lowe's.
are really credit cards. I mean, those.
Well, those are
probably
credit
the
cards. Yeah, I was about to get on.
But we've got Becker and Gray Bar.
Some subcontractors would be a classic one. The Amex control stuff or Crestron programmers that you're at least.
Buckra.
Yeah, all those guys, they could be people or they could be companies. I don't care. System doesn't care. They become a vendor to this list. Okay. Now, if you don't have the vendor in this list, you'll need to go ahead and go over here and stop this process and come up with the vendor and add it to the list. Okay. For the guys that are not currently there. But in my case, I'm going to use Ultimate Support, so I double click on here. And lo and behold, this is the same screen that was used for that miscellaneous posting. Now we're going to, for the lunch one, that would have been the miscellaneous down here, or in this case, equipment rental is sitting right there. Now, I kind of use this extra cost field for more details, like, you know, lift for whatever's on the invoice. This is, you know, a comment that now hits the project. You know, lift for room 101. Room 101, whatever's on the invoice, you know, and maybe the invoice number for, if for some reason you wanted, you know, and a date or something like that. So you've got a 64 character. Okay, and then you would put the amount. Now, in this case, I could either put the 550, the full amount, or if I wanted to break delivery out, I could put that as a freight feed on the second screen, on the next screen. So you can either do it all here or do it in 2 places. So if I say $500 here, for example, we come back to the same screen we've been before, and you'll notice this time it's going to equipment rental because I've been there before, okay, and accounts payable, net 30, and there's my invoice number, there's this, and see there's an out of balance yet to be distributed. Okay, and there's where I would enter $50 here. And again, that could go to freight charges or to equipment rental. Again, it's your world. I don't care. The system doesn't care. Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay, and then I hit post. Notice it went to zero. There's no balance left over. I hit post, and now that is seeded my job cost report number 5. So again, material costs come in from purchase orders or allocations. Labor costs come from manual posting or TPS mobile. Miscellaneous costs would be the stray lunch thing that wasn't broken out on a credit card via this guy right here. This is where you can do your multiple distribution right here. Purchase orders, miscellaneous costs, manual posting. You have your chart of accounts, and you can do whatever you want there. Yes. Office Depot. For office expenses, you could have, office expenses would be, professional fees, or what is this thing here? I don't know my chart of accounts. This was entered a long time ago. So office expenses, license, permits, miscellaneous, postage, printing. The whole list can be here if you want. It's totally up to you guys. There, office supplies right there. That would be, Office Depot and, Best Buy and all that kind of stuff.
So for office supplies, we would still create a job for that?
No, that one doesn't require a project.
I didn't think so.
It just goes right to, just hits the GL and goes into, so this is where you process your credit cards. And you would choose this is where you would choose the vendor would be, normally what you do with the vendor, with a credit card, you set that credit card up as a vendor unto itself. Okay? Does it go to a separate GL over in QuickBooks?
Through payables.
Yeah. So then you could do, so this is where you could pay it against the purchase order, enter the PO number just like you would, enter a job just like you would, and then this is where manual posting to Office Depot, and then when you're done, you kick over in this, and it comes back to the main screen. So.
Okay, so this, occasionally they might do a purchase order that has a couple parts for a job and a couple parts for stock, like she orders extras on the same purchase order.
They still go to inventory.
They do, but we don't want the whole cost posted to the job. So
it won't.
Okay.
Again, the cost, if let's say you had, your cameras, you ordered 5 on a purchase order, and you purchase order for a job, and you bumped it up to put 5 more in stock. Yes.
I just didn't. Yeah.
Okay, so the allocation, when it received, only allocated 5 to the project. So just the purchase order system itself only posted 5 of the 10 against that job. And hence, the same thing applies if you were to correct that purchase order after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
It would look at the distribution of the quantity, and it would post 5 changes against just that job. So it does it exactly the way it should be, automatically. You don't have to think about it. Just correct your purchase order, and it takes care of, 5 went to that job, I'm going to make 5 corrections.
I did wire the other day, and what I did was a box sale. Ordered 2,000 feet on a box sale.
Sure.
And I only shipped 1,000, had her invoice for 1,000, and that other 1,000 went directly into inventory.
So the project had 1,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so you invoiced 1,000.
The project had 2,000 at the beginning. I left that part out. But I allocated the 2,000. I shipped 1,000. I had her invoice 1,000, and the system automatically put the balance into inventory.
So what's going to happen? When do we bill out the other 1,000 on the customer? Or will we ever?
We won't.
Okay. So we only use 1,000 on the job.
Correct.
Okay. So
I didn't like doing it that way though, but it ended up working out.
So was the order changed after it?
No, I was trying the system out, testing it and seeing what it would allow and wouldn't.
So the point that I mean, this is billing discussion, but we're here. If the salesman estimated 2,000
Mhm.
and we only ended up using 1,000. Yes.
Correct.
So, where's the state of the bill? What is the state of the project itself? I.e.,
It was a box sale.
oh, it's a box sale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only box sale.
Okay. Well, we'll worry about billing. We'll come back to talk about billing when we talk about billing. I don't want to confuse the subject here. Let's go back and look at the job now. So, come over here. I'll go to job cost posting, rather, sorry. Job cost detail report here. And let's look at this job. We have our labor posting, which was done on a prior date. We have our material costs, and there is the very thing I talked about. We made a cost correction of $18 for one item, and this is where that chain of cost shows up in the purchase order. So it's correcting your job cost automatically. You with me? Okay. And then we had our there's our lift posting. There's our lift right there that we just captured against the job, and then let's see the next page here, and there was the lunch fee right there. So all of those costs now hit the job to our total cost to our job. Material costs.
So it split that cost, the freight, up amongst the.
It apportioned it out, yes, because if this were a group purchase order, multiple jobs on one big PO, I'd want to apportion it out to project 1 and project 2. So it did it automatically. Okay. And then come down here. This would then reflect our total cost, which is the same figure right there. And this project's doing very nicely, but we haven't received all our costs yet. All our materials have not come in yet, so we're not at the bottom line to this. And labor-wise, we're doing good. We estimated 500 hours. We're current 416. So, as a review, then we have material costs coming in automatically, corrections to those costs coming through the AP module, labor costs coming in via the manual posting system or TPS mobile. Miscellaneous costs would be, straight lunch fee. We would just use the straight non-AP module, just the job cost posting to post miscellaneous costs. Okay. And then we have the AP module for entering invoices against the purchase order. And then the AP module for posting invoices against the projects that just came as a straight invoice. Okay?
Is there a way to correct mistakes? Suppose somebody gives
I
Katie
do all the time.
they give Katie the credit card receipt. She goes in and puts it in, posts it to the job, and then Nicole on the payable side goes in and posts it again.
Yes, again, this same screen fixes all sins. You just come back
Put a
over
negative
here
in.
and do a credit amount. Happy days.
Okay.
Negative amount here. And it fixes it. And it shows up as a line item. Correction to double credit or credit price posting.
Okay.
That applies for everything.
So we'd only enter the Amex receipts into here that will apply to a project? And then
Well, you would enter those as they come, but the whole bill would get entered in here through the GL account.
You will come up,
the
so,
whole thing will
yeah,
get-
so, yeah, you can,
Not the other administrative bills, but the Amex, because it typically has job costs on it.
so you'll come over here to this guy, come back over to our screen here. Go to, accounts payable interface. So for the AMX card right over here, you'll use this functionality here.
Right.
Okay. And then if the line item is a posting against a purchase order, you'll enter the PO number in there and pay it just like you would this guy. If it's just a job cost posting, some United Rental Lift or something like that, you would post through this one, enter the project number, and then come over here to this guy. If this is Office Depot and some non-job related overhead costs.
So that's for all of those.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll play with it. We'll figure out what works best.
What works? Yeah, you got to work this out. I mean,
Right.
get comfortable with it. I know people that absolutely use this all day long, so it works. But you may not be comfortable. Plus, there's a lot. You might not have all the information in front of your hand to make, and it's not like you can stop and start or stop and continue. It kind of wants to put it through. So there would be the problem. If you don't have all the information to work with, then you've got some challenges. Okay.
So some of that, but as far as things on purchase orders is where it's going to be the most useful.
Absolutely
Right.
correct. Yeah.
Job specific.
Yeah. Any questions about job cost? I know that's a lot.
It is a
Do
lot.
we have like a step-by-step kind of like guide just in case? Missed something?
You gotta be careful.
Did you say there was a video?
There will be a video. Yeah, there's a video on all this,
Okay, good.
and I'm making your video too. So, all
Thank you.
right. So I'm going to stop. Okay. The one thing I didn't do. Pause the video for a moment here to resume the video. We come over here to File, Utilities, Import, IIF. Oh, I didn't do the dollars to accounting side first. Accounts payable interface. Your version of it. Accounts payable, my version of it. Accounts payable interface, task, QuickBooks, create export. Okay. There is a report here that lets you actually see the outstanding postings going to QuickBooks. These are all staged to go to QuickBooks is what these are. Okay. And you see I've got the one invoice from Edwards and the one invoice from Ultimate Support. Yes, put in today. And that shows you the GL numbers that it's going to hit right there. And then when we don't have to run that report. I mean, one of my companies had a huge AP interface, and they wanted to know what was going over before it got there.
Well, in the beginning, I'd probably like to look
Yeah.
at it just to make sure.
And then come over here to proceed, and it then created that file right there instead of the import IIF. Okay. And then from inside QuickBooks, you'll come over here to this guy, File, Utilities, Import, IIF, and it looks in the same path right there. Well, it should look in the same path. There's our import file for AR. There's our import file for AP.
Okay, so you didn't have to do the dollars to accounting.
It's still
just the
hanging out there.
invoice side.
It's still you did not have to do it. You can do it separately.
That's the AR side, though, right?
That's the AR side, yes.
So this one, I just go in and
Yeah.
create the export.
Create the export, click over there, and it brings in your data, just like that.
Awesome.
And then if we go down to vendors, enter bill, and we go back one, click, there's ultimate support for that 50 foot right there.
Nice.
And it shows up as a line entry distribution according to the way you set it up. Okay. And if we go back one more, there's the Edwards invoice, like so. So it did all the, there we go. Okay.
Very nice.
I'll leave that up and minimize that guy. Okay. All right. I'm going to call my wife real quick. She had a problem. With power loss. I'm going to see if she's okay or not. I've got a little phone call to make. Right there, ISC West. Steve May, trade show. I gotta make this call real quick here. 203 840 58 50 and 54. Let's see if I can make that call real quick. 203 840 5850. Tony Nasca here with DoveNet. I'm doing great. How you doing? 10:54.
Because I always say it to the kids, it's cheap and then, one of those signs, you know, the books maintainer that said they would get them on the back and it's got the name and stuff on it, too. That's sweet. Yeah, the kids' pictures are in there.
I sent you an email with a security Excel file. That's for setting up the users, so I want you to print that out. Maybe you and Craig and me, so print 3 copies. Okay. We're going to talk about that this afternoon, sometime today. So they offered at my hotel a micro dinner, drinks and finger food type stuff. That was dinner. Totally, that totally worked. It was some shrimp, a fruit, a cone, ice cream cone filled with fruit, micro fruit, and then a micro hamburger.
Oh,
So
nice.
that works for me.
Yeah.
That was a easy meal, so
Oh, that's pretty cool.
that worked.
That's why I like staying at the Drury. They're 5 to 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 5 to 7 p.m. thing.
Yep, I love it.
So that worked out well.
Free drinks, free food, everything. Even though it isn't really free.
Ain't that the truth?
They didn't make valet parking was it. I mean, you could. The other one was a block and a half away. Plus, I'm dragging my this thing. So I said, I guess that's the end of that. Just, so that wasn't exactly $15 a night extra. So it's like, okay. Where is this lady? Did I lose the call?
I was wondering. I can see your down pad on the screen.
I bet you lost the call. Crap. Sorry.
It's not great service in here.
In this conference room, I don't
Hey, Steve, Tony Nasca here. I was talking to somebody and I got put on hold and nobody came back.
Lunch will be delivered at noon. I just took a guess.
Oh,
That's fine.
I had my, I had it at, okay, 1:04. I'll change my alarm clock because I set my alarm for, I'm at a customer site in Oklahoma. I'm not at my office, so I had to do this by alarm and I was on a break, so that's what happened there. All right, good. 1 o'clock, you said 1 o'clock? Okay, thank you. Give me a break. Okay, let me set my alarm.
Oh, I don't need to be here for the bill.
Yeah, this is billing.
Oh,
It says I'm out of here. I do not need to add to my.
I do want to know, like, that one UD, was it UD that had all the different cards where they came in stages?
the batteries or carbs?
It was the battery.
We have batteries. Mm-hmm.
But there, I think there must have been an easier way to do that, because you had to, like, keep adding new lines, right?
I did.
I don't see why they did that anyways, to be honest. They took them all up in like a
2
10-day
weeks.
period.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll never know the reason for that, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, it's something that could come up again in the
All right.
future. and I think
I'll
it
call
would-
my wife
I don't think that
after,
they would. I wanted you to.
Have
Okay.
to do that.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not taking notes. I'm listening and watching.